All right, so when you think of UFO stories, what usually comes to mind? Strange lights in the sky, right? A cool story to tell your friends. But what if an encounter left behind something more? Something you could see and feel long after it was gone. That's exactly what we're talking about today with the Cash Landrum incident. This one is different. It's one of the most compelling and frankly, physically damaging cases out there. The story isn't just about what they saw. It's about the very real evidence it left behind on them.
So let's set the scene. Picture this. It's late, you're on a dark, isolated road deep in the piney woods of East Texas. Not a lot of lights out there. For 3 people, what was supposed to be just a simple drive home, well, it was about to turn into a terrifying, life-altering ordeal.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? What in the world happened on that deserted road on December 29, 1980? What did Betty Cash, Vicki Landrum, and her grandson Colby actually see? Because whatever it was, their experience kicked off a mystery that's been stumping believers and skeptics for decades.
And it all unfolded in a flash. It started out as just this bright light in the distance, but then it wasn't distant anymore. It was a massive, diamond-shaped object hovering right over their car, pinning them down on that dark road. They were blasted with this intense, almost suffocating wave of heat. And then, poof, just as fast as it showed up, it shot straight up into the sky and was gone.
I mean, just think about what they described. A gigantic diamond-shaped object hovering completely silently. It was throwing off this blinding light and a wave of heat so real, so palpable, that it made the dashboard of their car hot to the touch. But then it gets even weirder. Right after the object left, they saw a whole bunch of military helicopters swarming the area like they were chasing it. So now you don't just have a UFO, you have a potential military connection. The plot thickens, right?
But here's the thing. The story doesn't stop when the object disappears. Not even close. In fact, what happened next is what makes this case a true landmark. It's not just a he said, she said kind of story. This encounter left a severe, measurable, and medically documented physical toll on everyone involved.
In the hours and days right after the encounter, their health just plummeted. Betty Cash, who had actually gotten out of the car to get a better look, she got the worst of it. We're talking severe nausea, blinding headaches, and just debilitating fatigue. But it was more than that. They developed these awful burn-like sores on their skin. Their hair started falling out in clumps. These weren't just feelings of being unwell. These were clear, undeniable physical injuries. And this quote really captures the human side of it all. Can you even imagine that? The intensity of the light was so overwhelming. It lit up everything. That initial moment of curiosity of, what is that, just completely transforming into raw terror. It's just a chilling reminder that these were real people going through something absolutely unbelievable. So naturally, they went to the doctor. And the doctors? They were completely stumped. They had no idea what was causing this. But after a ton of evaluations, the conclusion was, well, it was stunning. Their symptoms, the burns, the hair loss, all of it were consistent with exposure to radiation. All of a sudden, their wild story had some very real and very scary medical backing.
Okay, so now they're not just dealing with these horrible health problems, they've got medical bills piling up. So they start a search for answers, for some kind of accountability. But what did they run into? Just a total wall of official denial.
And this is where you get this crazy conflict of realities. On one side, you've got the witnesses. They saw a giant craft. They have medically verified symptoms of radiation exposure. They saw military helicopters. Their story is consistent. On the other side, the official response from the U.S. Air Force and the government. They found no evidence of any unusual aircraft. They denied any military involvement whatsoever, and they offered zero explanation for the witnesses' health problems. It's like they were living in 2 different worlds.
So what do you do in that situation? When you're convinced the government is responsible for your injuries and your mounting debt? Well, you take them to court. They filed a lawsuit against the U.S. government for negligence, asking for compensation to cover their huge medical expenses. But it was a losing battle from the start. After facing all these legal hurdles, the case was just rejected. They were left with nothing. No money, no answers, no justice.
Now you might think that after the lawsuit failed, the story would just disappear. But it didn't. Not at all. The Cash Landrum incident left this incredible, lasting legacy. Even now, more than 40 years later, it's still one of the most important and hotly debated cases in UFO history.
So, why does it have such staying power? Because this is what UFO researchers call a cornerstone case, and that's a big deal.
It's not just a blurry photo or a vague story. You have multiple, credible witnesses whose stories never changed. And this is the absolute key, you have documented physical evidence of harm. Hard medical proof. That's what makes this case so incredibly difficult for anyone to just wave away.
Yeah, the case endures for so many reasons. For one, it's a really powerful example of the potential health effects of these close encounters. It's not all just lights in the sky. It also perfectly highlights that official wall of silence that so many witnesses talk about. And you know, even though their lawsuit failed, it kind of set a precedent for challenging the government in these cases. But at the end of the day, for believers and skeptics alike, it's just this incredibly compelling, unsolved mystery.
So what are we left with? What's the takeaway here? Was this some top-secret military craft that went wrong? That would explain the radiation, and it would definitely explain the helicopters. Or was it a genuine encounter with something unknown, something not from around here? Or is there some other explanation we haven't even thought of? That's the thing. After all this time, the mystery of what happened on that Texas road, what really injured these people, it remains completely and frustratingly unsolved.